All right, we're going on to the Moment Awards. Let's start with Best Funny Moment, which has the description comedy. It's extremely self-explanatory. Yeah, X was the one who was like, "What if the funny moment description just said comedy?"
I'm glad that made the that got greenlit.
I want you to know in the original draft, the best funny moment description said comedy, the best emotional moment description said tragedy, and the best extreme ways moment description said tragic comedy.
I feel like that should have been kept.
I thought it should be kept, but X was like, "No, you can't do that." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Anyways, best funny moment. There's a long list of these. I don't think we need to talk about every single one of them. There's a few I have in mind. Do you want to start with the one that mentions you, Jackson?
The two that mentions him.
Okay, so no, I'm gonna mention the best one, which
Yes.
is Uriquak blows a 2-0 lead against Dems. I think that is peak.
Did you nominate this shit?
No, I did not.
Okay.
But whoever did is a great person, and I fully support them.
I know who did, but I'm not gonna reveal
I know you
their
did,
name.
and you won't tell me.
I-
and you won't tell me who did it.
I'm like, well, because I'm not 100% sure. If I was 100% sure, I
Okay.
would let you know. But I'm only 95% sure based on things like the things they nominated, some of the things they nominated and the way they phrased them, perhaps when they referred to in the first person about certain things. But of course, I can't be 100% sure. So
Yeah.
I think the deathmatch itself was funny. I don't think the result was like. I don't think it's funny because Uri specifically lost. You know, I think the deathmatch would have been funny even if Dems had lost. You know.
No, I think Uriquak losing is a very significant part of this.
How so?
Jackson's just a hater.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Based
Jackson's
take.
a hater.
I support you.
I do think blowing a lead has an element of comedy. There is a reason why, like, in sports, all the jokes are like, you blew a 3-1 lead, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think blowing a 2-0 lead is, that huge.
Wait, speaking of haters, this transition. Amaranth's worm tier list.
That's a good transition.
That one's really good. I really like the word tier list. Where were you on that list?
So, I was definitely in the standard worm. Oh, yeah, I was in the standard worm tier. I think the only worm elites were
Fruit.
Scarlet and David.
Fruit wasn't even a
But
word.
maybe
Oh yeah, I think
No,
Fruit
Fruit was
wasn't
not
the
a
word.
worm.
Yeah, he was like, Fruit is not a word. Fruit was cool.
was not a worm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was David and Scarlet.
fucking incredible. I wish I could just read out the entire thing.
Go for it.
But it'd take a while. But essentially, as a TLDR of everything,
No, wait. What
David-
if you read out the entire thing and in post Mercer just cuts a bunch of shit out? It's like a montage of the reading.
I'll just put it on screen.
okay, yeah.
I might do that. Maybe not. I don't know. Depends on how lazy I am.
In Amaranth's interview for finals, Archie asks, please rank all players from most worm-like to least. And then Amaranth immediately replies, do not worry about that. I will have you covered. Then a lot of stuff happens in the meantime, and another funny moment happens where David says, given that you have openly, as recently as 10 minutes ago, stated that my prioritizing a social playstyle is unworthy of respect, what in your opinion makes Thea and Fruit, who by your estimation also played social games and pitted people against you, so much better than me? Additionally, what makes your playstyle of openly and privately insulting players, such as myself and Scarlet, and lacking any sort of respect or sportsmanship in this regard, so anti-worm as you describe it? Then he says some other stuff.
David's cooking with that.
Amaranth responds to this incredibly earnest question about why he was insulted so much with the following: I called you a worm elite, man. There's definitely some kind of acknowledgement that what you did is exceptional, or you wouldn't be elite. It's just so amazing. And it gets even better but you have to keep in mind, dear viewer, that he hasn't even posted his tier list at this point. We don't know who is worm and who is not.
Also, we don't know who's worm
We don't
elite.
know. We don't know who's worm elite. We don't know. We know David is. It's heavily implied he's worm elite, but no one else. We don't know. And then Let me see where he posted it. Oh wait, he actually posted it a little bit earlier. I'm so sorry.
We're just lying in the podcast now.
Propaganda.
But the actual worm hierarchy. Okay. Amaranth. To start, we have to define wormfulness. Wormfulness is the idea that is okay to skate by without making an active effort to win. Wormfulness is satisfaction with any placement short of first. Wormfulness is the desperation that fills the gap where self-belief is absent. There were several degrees of wormfulness on display in this orb, and it is not inherently despicable. For example, when I coordinated to pull fruit down out of TOL spots in Final 5, that was extremely wormful of me. Wormfulness is annoying when it is needless and unjustified. Sometimes people could fight fair, and it would benefit them, but they choose not to. That is where being worm-like becomes truly offensive. So it's not necessarily linear, but if I had to put it on a scale, top tier, basically unwormful, Amaranth, leader of the anti-worm movement, goes without saying, fruit, worm charmer, gets other people to do his worm moves for him. Fundamentally, have to respect it. Thinks of himself as a worm larper, if you will, but hardly ever takes any wormful measures. His wins came fair, and he did not do anything silly out of desperation, even when he was in losing positions. Unwormful man, no matter what he claims. So, the funniest thing about Thea being ranked in this category
Oh my god.
is that in the opposite finals channel,
Oh my god.
Thea is being the most worm-like he could possibly be. And saying to only support him because he's not Amaranth. So like he's just fundamentally just like not he's essentially playing not even for like your support directly. It's just so funny. Like the irony is incredible. Okay, continuing the basically oh yeah, did you have something to say?
No, just the fact that he had to describe what wormfulness is, like define wormfulness. He just adds to it.
So these get better, I think. The missed one is whatever. Cam, the person who quit like MM2, understood that his actions would have like consequences on the game and pulled up for any of that could happen. legendary act of worm prevention. Badge of honor. Partially justified wormfulness. So this is a new tier. Andy directly ruined an episode, but it was due to life circumstances more than true wormfulness, which I can forgive. Quit before doing more damage.
Marcer looks like he's about to cry in real life.
Oh my god. I forgot the cam line and how absurd it is.
Okay. Archie participated in worm activities during MM3, but soon saw the error of her ways and won MM4 earnestly, without resorting to anything underhanded. A temporary lapse in judgment that I ultimately blame on the worm charmer rather than herself. New tier, standard worm. ABC was one of the players spearheading the worm operation in MM3. When confronted about it, he said I could have played around the worm maneuvers by being more proactive. Right. Try being less of a worm, bucko. Yeah, that works out for you. Jackson. The incessant lack of reply anytime I try to establish contact is at best worm adjacent. But hell, he's busy, time zones suck, whatever. He more so earned a spot down here when he fell hook, line, and sinker for XNimus' manipulations in MM9 and decided to self-immolate in a suicide mission against me. When he was not yet locked for DM, gave up too early, worm behavior. Alan went behind my back to attempt a desperation play in MM5 that could have risked my TOL for dubious benefit. Could have been a totally fine play if he cleared it with me beforehand. Being scared of that confrontation is a telltale sign of innate wormfulness. And of course, when I told him this pissed me off, he said, "It's not that deep." Classic worm belief. It is that deep.
Why is he unironically ninja posting? You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that.
Okay, the last two are like actual roasts. So this is the worm elite tier. Scarlet, thoroughly dedicated to advancing in genius orgs through means other than actually playing the games, so skilled at being a worm that you almost have to respect it. A very inspiring worm story for all the other worms out there, no doubt. Look at how much you can achieve if you put your heart and soul into worm activities. Sort of slimy and sneaky, but you can slither all the way to 3rd place. That's not bad for a worm. Other worms should definitely look up to Scarlet. She even won a death match. Oh my god. And this is like, so the final boss. David, the final boss of worms. David is a worm by choice. David could live a perfectly normal, honorable life. He could have been part of the anti-worm movement, but he just loves being a worm to the core. And so every day he puts on his giant worm suit, goes into the tunnels, and starts slithering about. Naturally, being human-sized, the slithering causes quite a lot of damage to the terrain, which we all stand on. Or well, for some of you, slither in it instead, but you get the point. A true demon, the fundamental source of the worm corruption that pervaded the cast. Defeating him personally was perhaps prophetic in itself. And this isn't over, guys. This is just the worm elite tier. There's also the transcends wormfulness tier.
Oh my
Stuff. I do not understand. Okay, for context, Stuff like essentially sunk in MM1 just to like, and I don't even know why. It made no sense. He could have very easily like made it so that Thea would be EC instead, but he just kind of gave up. Now, Stuff. I do not understand his motives. He came in. He did what he wanted to do. He left. He doesn't care about winning, but he doesn't care about losing either. The desperation that drives worm-like behavior is not present. He does not care. He has transcended.
Oh my god.
Okay, so that has to win. I'm sorry, Gambit Game. I'm sorry, Nolnada, but that has to win.
Yeah.
This is a very strong case. This shit's so funny. Holy fuck.
You want to go to bat for some of the Gambit Game ones?
I don't think it's beating the worm tier list. I mean, I think we've covered like Dice, Ice, Spice, Dice, Mice.
Yeah, that's
briefly.
pretty funny.
There's Nolux chose Joey by saying Purple Cobra. Okay, so for context, this was like some kind of mafia-like game. And I think it's something like they have to talk publicly or whatever. There's no like space to like pull people aside one-on-one, right? So like one of the pre-game strategies that Joey employed was like when he was talking one-on-one to someone else, he would be like, okay, this is our code word if like you are this mastermind role or whatever, and I will say this in turn, and he came up with a different code word. It's actually just a code phrase, maybe, I think, to like a bunch of other like individuals, except for Nolux, who like he was beefing with or some shit. And Nolux like just out of the blue in public went, hey Joey, Purple Cobra, like just unprompted. He was like pretending he got a code word himself when he really didn't. And I think like I might be wrong here, but I think a few other people just like was suspicious, like, oh, Joey has something with Nolux or something silly like that. It didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but I just thought it was like a silly moment. But no, Worm tier list. Vote for Worm tier list.
Worm tier list is pretty good. Gold's math homework is also pretty good.
Oh my god, Gold.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, for those who do not know, dear viewer, Gold ran a meme called Gold's Genius Game 3, where Deathmatch 1 was, my parents are angry at me, please can you do my math homework? I need to submit it before midnight or I will fail my class. And then the math homework, well, it started out pretty normal. You had to like find the limit of a function and then you had to differentiate a function or whatever. And then it became, write a defense of an economic theory of your choice, into disprove the Riemann hypothesis, into is this dress black and blue or white and gold?
I just think it peaked at like, my parents will be mad at me if I don't submit my homework. Please do it for me. I just thought that concept alone
it was
carried.
So funny. Like, it also because genuinely it sounded somewhat sincere. Like you could believe it. There was a moment where you're like, is this a bit? Is this not? You could not tell.
The other Gold's Genius Game 3 nom, I personally nommed it one the second deathmatch was basically 3 death matches. It's the best of 3 death matches. But one of the 3 death matches was Killer Hop, and it had the same rules. Actually, there's like one change with calling Killer, but for the most part, you know, the observation part is basically Killer Hop. Now, the issue is the shapes are all scuffed, as in like they're all like some kind of like 12-sided shape or 13-sided shape, and you just can't tell the difference unless you like really squint. And the colors are all just slightly different shades of red or slightly different shades of blue, and you can't tell unless you use like a hex picker or some shit. It was so scuffed. That's what made it so funny.
Yeah, I might put a graphic on the screen for dear viewer, but they were literally indifferentiable. They were about the same color, and the pixels were slightly off. What a time. I'm looking through this list. I think those are all the funny ones. Jackson did pretend to have 2 tokens of life. That was also pretty funny.
Yeah. I trolled poor Juan.
Basically, it was the twist is that like it's not revealed who won the tokens, and I think Sabile won 2, but Sabile winning 2 would look bad socially. So instead, we had Jackson, who had basically been trolling the entire match, be like, I discovered a secret strategy to win. Everyone pitch me why you need my second token of life. And people panicked and pitched while Jackson had no power, and it was already predetermined that Sabile was gonna get the second one.
And that I was gonna get it.
Yeah, that you were gonna get it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
when was that revealed? Did you ever leak that? I hope you didn't. That's like the one funny thing that like had 0 consequence.
I don't think I did.
Okay, amazing.
I think I might have. I don't remember. I know Juan knew for a fact that our alliance had all the tokens. I don't know if I told him that you were trolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I thought it was harmless, so I did it.
Yeah, it was completely pointless.
Yeah.
Best emotional moment.
The moment this year that evoked the most cathartic emotions. I do think Grunkle winning is kind of great. It's a good moment. I do think it is overshadowed a lot by the fact that... Now, I'll spoil a lot of things, Gambit Game. I already spoiled that Grunkle won. My bad. I gave a warning at the start. I do think it's spoiled a lot by the fact that the finals was overshadowed a lot by his opponent blundering, like, constantly. Jackson, I guess you don't know, but what happened was Grunkle's opponent had an item in a game that pretty much guaranteed his victory, and he fucked up his own auto win.
What was the game?
Line Gravity. It's a new game for Gambit Game.
Okay.
Yeah, but basically it's a game that kinda has a solve, and Alex had the items to guarantee that he won, and then he totally messed up the strategy. Like, completely broke down, and Grunkle easily won just by kind of not doing anything. And then FM2 was a game that Grunkle is naturally immensely good at, against someone who has, like, who kind of is going through it mentally.
Oh.
They were basically playing like the game was sequence. You flip things and then it's only connect. You have to figure out what the 7th thing in the sequence is. Mm-hmm. And Grunkle is already really naturally good at that. I do think the overall moment is really good because this is a guy who everybody like hated on the entire time his run was there. Everybody was constantly shitting on him. And he just proves himself over and over again and comes out on top. I think it was a very good moment for Grunkle. But there are certain things that overshadow it. I don't know, this category is always really difficult. Do you have thoughts, X? Do you have thoughts, Jackson?
I think that's a pretty good shout. I think for me it's just you and Juan facing off in the deathmatch. I just think you'll never get a situation like that ever.
That's fair.
Damn, he really voted for it too.
Well, you said it and then I clicked on it. I mean, you gave a very compelling case.
I'm not sure. Like, I really don't think I've ever had a moment in a Genius Amaranth beating David. Like, never. That was just it was insane.
Yeah, that I can see it, but like for me, I don't think like the emotions are like particularly. I don't know. I don't think the emotions involved particularly.
I think I definitely felt stronger emotions as someone with big stakes in the outcome
Yeah.
of that match.
All right, that's fair.
Mhm.
But I think probably Marcer and Juan DM. That would make sense to me.
I think both of those are kind of turning points of their orgs, right? Like, once David
Yeah.
loses, it just changes the course of that org completely. And Marcer, why am I referring to myself in third person? Juan and I doing that DM forces us to lock in, and I think it kind of changes the trajectory of the org. And it's also a result of just the org dynamic shifting, right? It's the result of the game pretty much completely turning against us.
I want to say Joey's pop-off was raw.
Joey's pop-off was raw. His fiance enters the room and is like, what's going on? And he looks at the camera and goes, this is the fiance who always deals with my bullshit, and starts like high-fiving her on camera.
That's so funny.
He's like, give me 5, give me down low, give me up
She's
top."
always there for me when I'm bitching, when I'm crying, when I'm raging.
And then he got married. So,
Oh my god.
That's kind of wild.
yeah. Yeah, I think those are the ones I would consider. Alright. Best extreme ways moment. The moment that best encapsulates the spirit of entertainment. I honestly think Amaranth making a comeback is pretty good here too.
Yeah,
It's not like a
I agree
single
with that.
moment because it's kind of like 4 rounds in a row, but just the totality of that instance of what happened there and how much it changes, right? And I'm sure, I mean, I was a host, you were a player. I'm sure you were on the edge of your seat the entire time.
Yeah, I think I was just in disbelief. I think when it hit 10-9, I was like, oh fuck, this is bad. This is really, really bad. And then I saw 10, and then 10-10 happens. David gets a really good hand. I'm like, okay, it is so easy to just, well, not so easy, but like definitely easier than the previous hands to like play well and like eke out the win. And he was just under pressure, didn't play it well, and I was just like, I can't believe this happened. This is unbelievable. Yeah, just wild.
Incredible play.
I wonder if I can find my live reactions. It was just I was in disbelief. But yeah, is there anything else from that category?
I have a few shouts.
Yeah.
I really like the moment where this is a Gold's Genius game one. I really like the moment where Book catches Crest's secret identity. So this is the main match where everybody is playing under alts. And the only reason Book figures out that Crest is a certain alt is because he has a certain way of like ending his sentences that's always consistent. And she catches on, and immediately from that clue is able to deduce like pretty much the entire game and wins on the spot because of that. Which was like a really incredible catch, right?
That's a crazy read.
Yeah. Like she's like, this pattern of speaking is familiar. The way he texts is reminiscent of this person, which is just a crazy thing to latch onto. It kind of felt like, I'm gonna spoil the Genius Grand Final. It kind of felt like the Otte Jongmuna moment,
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah,
Where
okay.
like he just catches on because of just incredible intuition. Jackson yeah.
I sent a screenshot of my reaction before and after the Amaranth David DM.
Come on, David. He's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
In all caps too. Just the emotion is clearly there.
1 hour later. Man, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
I think the trajectory of that org changes so drastically, and so does the narrative. If that moment, even one of those 50-50s goes the other way, right?
Yeah.
Because then Amaranth is just seen, like, is slain, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't get the 4P. David and Fruit probably make it super far together. Fruit probably honestly makes it to finals.
Yeah.
So just the way that changed so much is incredible.
I honestly think we get Thea David at final. I don't know who wins that. And then I don't know. I don't know what happens after that.
I think probably Thea is the person that gets odd one out, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think your position drastically improves. I think that's the other thing.
Yeah, well, actually, no. I think it's about the same. I think one thing that was nice about David going was that I was able to play a little bit of a middleman between Fruit Scarlet and Thea Amaranth.
That's fair.
Like just a little bit. It didn't really matter, but Fruit was like a huge, massive target that I did not have to deal with. Whereas like David probably like effectively throws for Fruit for the remainder of the org.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just incredible. I like the Grunkle play in Whirlpool. I think the editing is really good for that too. It feels like it's a moment that would have Extreme Ways playing behind it, right?
Yeah.
It's a great play. Enticing Nolux to falsely declare impossible and then finding a ridiculous path. So definitely a shout there.
I think I mean, there's the stuff that's previously mentioned, like Alex solving the gift exchange secret and Joey like doing RAM. I think
those are all good.
Nolux, like I built. This is bidding seat exchange, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Nolux using one chip to turn the results of the game on its head. That came out of nowhere. Like with the Joey RAM thing, you see, you get a clip before the results of like Joey just like clearly thinking about his move and like, okay, Nolux is gonna be on this space. Where do I shoot? Nolux is gonna be on this space. Where do I shoot? He just repeats like the same sentence over and over to himself, and then it cuts to the results, and you build up the suspense. Whereas you kind of see the process, right? Whereas like in this case of Nolux bidding one chip in bidding seat exchange, you don't get any warning beforehand that Nolux is like gonna do this play at all. So like when you get to the results, it's like, wait, what the fuck? These people won. That's insane. Like to me, I think that is an Extreme Ways moment. A shocking result you didn't see, like it was completely hidden. I think that's a contender for me. But I think there's also like a bunch of other like good noms.
Yeah, every time that game gets played, something crazy happens. The 12-person tie, probably the greatest Extreme Ways moment of our community.
Oh god, yeah.
Did you get extorted? You did, right?
I did get extorted. I wish I hadn't paid. I don't know why I did. It was stupid.
I think the only person who didn't pay was E, right?
I think it was, if it was not MM1, I would not have paid. Wow. And literally ended. It was the perfect circumstance for Jackal.
Yeah, it's so insane. For those who don't know, Bidding Seat Exchange got played in Genius Invitational. Jackson played in it, and there were two separate
alliances,
streaks of 6.
Yeah.
That were formed by 2 different alliances of 6.
At the same exact time.
Yeah, at the exact same time, which meant that all tokens were nullified, and the odd man out, who is EC Jackal, was able to extort everyone, being like, if you give me a Garnet, I won't DMO you.
It's kind of what Grunkle did in Gambit Game.
Yeah, and he was very rich. And then he proceeded to win the org.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yep. I think those are the ones I wanted to shout out. Oh, I guess the other shout out is the Guardians Nilnada moment. I don't know if this is really like, I don't think it was a good play necessarily, but PRCS trolling and being like, I'm gonna place a fake stove because I'm PRCS math, and then that having such crazy ramifications, instantly killing Sean on the spot, and Shard's strategy just, because Shard was originally gonna like target PRCS with the strategy, right? He was like, I want to screw PRCS totally, like he's the person who least communicates with me. PRCS completely oblivious is like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if I placed the fake stone? And it causes all this like whole butterfly chain effect that leads to Sean's eventual elimination. Is crazy. It's insane.
That is really funny.
Yeah, I think those are all the ones I wanted to mention. Anything else, guys?
I'm ready to move on.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get to best quote.
Okay, we have one clear winner.
I think
you have to get the right one.
He's a cool guy, but he plays League of Legends. Let's put it like that.
Let's put it like that.
It's so good.
No, I think like that's like the funniest one on this list, personally.
It's so good. I think Dems is in session has a lot of popular support because it is a really funny thing to say. But I also don't know what it means.
I don't even.
Does anyone know what it means?
Dems is in session.
Skibbity.
I mean, I think a lot of these quotes are extremely good. Like, what the fuck is Blue's problem is so good because of the way
really
it's so dissonant with the way Wimsilla normally does his confessionals. This is the guy who takes like hours writing detailed notes about his strategy, his planning, all these graphics he makes. And then for this, he wakes up, sees results, he goes into his thoughts channel, says, "What the fuck is Blue's problem?"
I like the communication.
It's so funny because of the contrast from his usual demeanor.
I think other than Dempsey's in session, like I think the other quote to me that just gets repeated more than once is Marcer, who cannot shut the fuck up about being good enough.
Okay, yeah, but that one's not funny. So I don't know who nominated that.
It's not funny, but I think like it's a repeatable, inspiring quote. I guess it's
a maxim.
It is a maxim. It is my maxim.
I think a bunch of like other like quotes, like they're funny, but they're like one-off quotes, really.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a cool guy, but he plays League of Legends. Let's put it like that. It's really funny.
It's so good. I've had that bookmarked. I nominated that one. I've had that bookmarked since day one. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm nominating that. Like 2 years later, I remembered I had a screenshot somewhere of something I wanted to nominate. I found it. And I was like, nah, this is still peak. This is still so funny.
Thank God.
Yeah. Some other shoutouts. I think, guys, what do you think of my Sean impression? Has a lot of context. I think it is very funny in context. Shard basically throwing one last dig at Sean as he's about to die. Other one I like is it's up to me to let you tell your opinion. This is in between the deathmatch between Pengu and Lettle. And Lettle is like, so Pengu, you have to play black here. And Pengu is like, wait, I have to? And I was like, yeah. Pengu was like, wait, I thought I didn't need to. Lettle's like, well, you don't need to. So Pengu's like, so why would I play it? And Lettle's like, well, it's because it's up to me to tell you what to do. It's so funny. It's like a last-ditch effort to get Pengu to throw. It's so funny. Incredible line. Yeah, I think those are the ones I like. But I think it's hard to beat. He's a cool guy, but he plays League of Legends. Let's put it like that. It's so good. I don't even remember what it was in. It's Amaranth.
Okay.
It's about Amaranth. It's like Fruit asking Thea why Amaranth is like so on edge. I don't remember when it was. I think it's really early. It's like main match 2 or 3.
Okay.
And Thea's like, well, Amaranth's my friend, but you know, he's a cool guy, but he plays League of Legends. Let's put it like that. It's such an incredible quote.
Here's the full context. The full context. Fruit asks, so is Amar really angry or something? And then Thea does like the shrug emote and says the line. It's so funny.
It's so good. Alright, let's move on to best meme. The meme this year that was most memorable and iconic. I think Worm tier list.
Worm tier list.
Worm
is
tier
very
list.
Good.
I think it's Worm tier list. Other good shout out, Sean is a designer. I don't even know how that spawned, but there's some absurdist comedy there of just saying Sean is a designer whenever you introduced him. Yeah, I like Amaranth's Worm tier list. That one's really good. Nothing else to say?
I have nothing else to say.
Blunder Kingdom is like the running joke of ZGD, where like there was a like Sean after losing his deathmatch in his final speech just went, "Oh, I blundered. That did me in, whatever." Right?
Yep.
And then the next person, PRCS, he gets eliminated, makes his final speech. He also mentions like how he made a blunder.
Yep.
And then the next person, Toby, says pretty much the same thing. I made
Same
a blunder.
blunder.
That's why I'm here. Then Uri just goes, "Blunder King. I'm the king of Blunder Kingdom." And then Shard, that's where the "what you think of my Sean impression" thing comes in, where he makes a blunder, loses the deathmatch. That's his final speech. He's like, "Oh, what do you think my Sean impression? I blunder too. I can do it too."
So good.
That's this blunder. I think that's also like another thing I would consider, but Amaranth's Worm tier was peak.
Is really good. Wait, I'm sorry. We missed something earlier. I know we're going back to this. I need to talk about this. Best funny moment. I just thought about this with the meme. Brian playing 2 DMs at the same time is honestly fucking hilarious.
Yes. Two death matches in 2 different orgs scheduled on the same time frame. He plays both of them. He shows up to both. He plays both at the same time. Doesn't give his full attention to either.
And loses both. Okay, and the funniest thing is...
I watched both of them as well.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
And the craziest part is the Zero's Guardians DM was already a DM where you play 3 DMs. So he was playing effectively 4 DMs at the same time.
Crazy.
Wait, Did he lose
Yeah.
the first the
He
one in
lost.
Gold's Genius game?
No, he lost in Gold's Genius game.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna check this. I think he did. I think he lost both.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he lost both. Like, he only has one DM win, and that's from contractual obligation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot who he lost to. Oh
I think Koala.
my god. No, Calcid.
Oh.
No.
Koala.
No, Juan.
Koala.
No, it's
No.
Koala, is it not?
It's Koala. It's
Yeah,
Koala.
okay.
That's so funny.
I checked this because I was looking for my Marcer number.
Okay. Okay. Everyone gets a Martian number now. Shouldn't have lost. But yeah, sorry, just to derail, but I was like, that needs a shout out. That shit was so funny. Yep. But I think best meme, my personal vote is the Worm tier list. And
Yeah.
probably I like Blunder Kingdom too. Dems' In Session is also the absurdist comedy. The Zoomer humor, as they say.
The Fruit Nide win meme
Oh
is
yeah,
cute.
Fruit Nine win is also pretty good.
Yeah, the continuation of that meme across 2 different orgs makes it really good. Also because the second time, like the first time, it's like manga accurate, and the second time, it's like,
It's a rewrite. It's a rewrite.
yeah, he went back and retconned. Alright,
Best episode.
best episode. The episode this year that was the best to spectate in a Genius Org.
Yeah, I just think it's episode 9 of Gambit Game. It's U-Boat Shootout and Whirlpool. I think like there's like best main match to spectate and best deathmatch to spectate. I think this one has to be like a combination of the main match and deathmatch and everything in between. And I think U-Boat Shootout, like just the way it played out, it really delivered. And Whirlpool, the way it played out, it really delivered. I think I could not ask for more. Like, and the editing was just top notch. I think for me this is the clear pick.
Yeah, so I'm gonna agree with that based off of everything you two have said so far about it. As someone that's unfamiliar with Gambit Game, I think the problem with a lot of the non-live picks is that either the main match is really, really good, or the DM is really, really good, but
Not both.
the other one is not. In many of these cases, I think
I think that problem also exists with Gambit Game.
probably the best one is Farmer's Field's Renounced Fate in Nil Knot, which I think I nominated.
Yeah, I think
episode
that
3,
one is consistently
but
good.
that is not quite as good as the Gambit Game episode 9.
Correct. I think Gambit Game episode 9 is my easy favorite for this, just because it has such high highs throughout the entire episode, right? I do really like episode 3 of Nil Knot. I think it is a good episode, but I think generally a lot of episodes have one standout portion of the episode and the other portion kind of struggles. And I think that includes things like Triangle Auction and an Ice Duel,
Yeah.
or Gifts Exchange and Memory Math. Or the other one is like Hexagonal Highway and Liar's Dice, right? Like Liar's Dice is so epic and is such a high, and Hexagonal Highway is really good too, but it does kind of devolve into like David throwing.
The main match is good. Like the design itself is good. The way it played out is horrible.
Yeah,
Like one of the worst in the
correct.
entire org.
So I think episode 9 is the clear winner here.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to best play. The play this year that wowed people the most. This is kind of a general category, right? It's just any play that was the most impressive.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of overlap with some of the other categories.
I agree.
And if I may be the first to give a take, I think it should be the Gambit Game spoilers, the Grunkle DM moment with Nolux. That is definitely, like, to me, the most impressive play of all of these. And whereas I think Edan's moment should win the outside the box moment.
I'm in agreement here. I think Edan's moment really satisfies and kind of meets what the outside the box moment means in spirit, while the Grunkle play really feels like an outstanding play, right? It changes the entire course of the deathmatch from one play. It definitely, wowed me the most. It's a play that I will forever remember, it's so iconic.
Wasn't there like a literal like wow sound effect in the episode?
There is. I edited in the anime wow sound effect. And if I'm not lazy, I'll play it right now. I have the file.
taking the description of this category to a more
That's
literal
crazy.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking through, this is some, I guess, Gambit Game backstory. I was looking through all the sound effects we had that we had permission to use, and I needed a sound effect for, like, being impressed, right? Or something that's, like, super cool. And the only one we had was the wow sound effect. And so I looked through every other, like, free sound pack we had, and there were sword, like, slashes, there were gun sounds, there were, like, cheering sounds, but nothing that encapsulated the oh my god. And so I was like, well, I guess it has to be the anime wow that I have to use for this episode.
But it worked.
It did. I think the edit came out pretty well. Is there anything else I want to shout out? I think, okay, I don't know if this should win, but I think it's extremely funny that someone said the words punching bag, DMO bait punching bag in their submission explicitly.
I also think that's just like a very standard play. Like, it doesn't really stick out to me. Like, no, you probably should not DMO the person that is no threat to your game.
I agree. I think it had a huge shock factor because nobody expected the play, but I don't think it is a good play, but I don't know if it's the best play.
It is. It's a good play. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think the other ones are better.
I agree. I just think it's
Yeah.
funny that DMO bait punching bag made it onto the list.
Word for word.
It is.
Yeah, that's word for word. Someone submitted it. Someone had very strong feelings about this play. Yeah, I think I feel similarly about the fruit play, the, F5 engineering machinations. I feel like that has happened a lot before.
Yeah.
And it's kind of become a standard repertoire of like a really strong social player. F5 kind of becomes the battlefield where people start having to make hard decisions and cashing in their social capital. And Fruit does it really well. But the Grunkle moment stands out to me as something that's unique and genuinely iconic and memorable.
Yeah, I think Grunkle's move is here on virtue of the tactics, and something like Fruit or Shard decisions were more like strategy. But the thing is, like, the tactics that Grunkle had to execute, I felt are harder to execute. Versus, like, it's pretty easy to think of like this strategy that Fruit and Shard did, where I want this person to pick this person, therefore I token this person, or I think this person's not a threat to my game, therefore I DMO this person.
I think it's also really hard to make social plays like that in a way that are truly impressive at this point. I don't know if that's like phrased properly, but we have another Final 5 submission similar to Fruits that I put on here for Alara, and I feel like there's been at least one of those each year the past few years.
Yeah,
it's just tough.
I agree. And I think the other part that makes Grunkle's play so impressive is the time crunch. He had to come up with that play in like maybe 3 minutes, right? And he saw it, he recognized it, and he went for it, and he executed it perfectly.